Hello, I'm Minash Ravinsky and you're watching Break the Fake. They make them, we break them and tell you all you need to know. Now, the Kremlin is looking at something of a palace coup. Well, maybe we can drop the palace part because the Kremlin barely qualifies, but it still reeks of a coup. The first victim is the legendary self-styled general, Sergei Shoigu, who's been serving as Russia's chief aggression officer, called defense minister to throw everyone off, for the past 22 years. And now he's apparently out. The infamous general will now be replaced by Andrei Belousov. Like Shoigu, his replacement is not career military. An economist by training, before his appointment as defense minister, he served as Russia's deputy prime minister. In Russia, it's easier to become a general than a sergeant. What a country. Now, Financial Times says that Shoigu was previously considered nearly untouchable on account of his proximity to Vladimir Putin, with whom he vacationed several times in Tuva, the Siberian region Shoigu hails from. The former defense minister's position was also seriously strengthened after he prevailed in the Wagner mutiny, headed by the private military contractor boss Yevgeny Prigozhin. The Russian Ministry of Defense, consistently creative with their ranks and numbers. According to their reports, they have apparently knocked down 594 Ukrainian planes and 270 helicopters since the conflict began. Now, considering the state of Ukraine's air force before the war, that could only mean one thing. Russia's been shooting down aircraft that Ukrainians haven't yet received. Talk about ambitious goals, eh? And those weekly meetings at the Russian Ministry of Defense, that must be like Groundhog Day, only with more propaganda. And each session seems to follow the same script: blame Ukraine for everything and inflate our own victories. But the strategy feels straight out of the Kremlin playbook. The bigger our losses, the bigger theirs must be. And when it comes to ground forces, it's even easier to exaggerate. After all, who's going to fact-check where every rocket or every missile lands? But let us not forget the latest in Russian military technology, or should we say the second army of the world, which apparently needs a little push when it comes to starting engines in its Il-76 aircraft. For Russian military achievements, the sky is the limit, or it could be if they could actually lift off. Russia's approach to Africa seems to be growing even more aggressive. At this point, it feels a little like watching several countries being annexed in slow motion. And the process is so smooth that the residents, like in Mali for example, don't even seem to realize that they are starting to resemble the good old Soviet Union. In Mali, you can find kids now sporting Soviet pilot hats and St. George's ribbons, and even belting out Victory Day tunes in Russian at school. It feels definitely like stepping back in time to the old days of the Soviet Union, another faithful ally helping the motherland's soldiers take Berlin. You know what it's called? It's called colonialism. But that's not all. It seems like in another corner of Africa, a typical Russian scenario is unfolding. The body of Russia's ambassador to Mozambique, Alexander Surikov, was found at his residence in Maputo, according to local police. Surikov had headed Moscow's mission to the country since 2017. When police arrived at the hospital, Russian consul Yuri Doroshenko advised against conducting any autopsy. Now, we're not sure what had the consul so spooked that he turned his boss's death into a national secret. Or maybe the famous Russian tea didn't do the trick and they had to resort to other means. Now, ready for more news from Russia? Here we go. Recently in Belgorod, a portion of a 10-story apartment building has collapsed. While the causes remain unknown, of course, the Russian government is already accusing the Ukrainian military of attacking the area. According to the Baza Telegram channel, the collapse killed at least 4 and injured 35. Let's take a look. So let's talk a little about this last video, showing the explosion itself. Now, we don't claim to be imagery analysis experts, but clips of the incident don't feature any falling missiles or any falling bombs. And the nature of the blast itself suggests that the explosion took place inside the building. However, the Russian Ministry of Defense has already pushed out a narrative that says that the collapse was caused by a fragment of a downed Tochka-U missile fired by, you've guessed it, Ukraine. Some experts also are saying that the incident bears the same hallmarks they saw in the 1999 Moscow explosion, when the Russian FSB blew up a high-rise building to justify the war in Chechnya. But hold on. These are not all the mysterious explosions in Russia we want to talk about. There are more. Last night, Moscow's defense ministry reported that 21 incoming missiles and 9 unmanned aerial vehicles were intercepted, flying at targets in Russia. So, let's break this fake together, shall we? First off, let's see what Russians have actually published as evidence. Now, analysts are saying that the footage from Novosadovoye in the Belgorod region shows a huge eruption, something that doesn't match up with the story saying that the attack was carried out using MLRS rockets and drones. So it's within the realm of possibility that the debris in the film might be from a Russian missile. It is Russia, after all. Up is down and black is white. And with this mystery, we end this episode of Break the Fake. Please stay with us here on TVP World for more latest news and updates.